It's been 11 years since the last NCAA video game came out, and the college football landscape has drastically changed. From NIL and transfer rules to conference realignment, things look a bit different than they did in 2014. But let's talk about one of the most important additions to EA College Football 25, the 9 new schools in the game. We'll start with the blue blood of the group, the Liberty Flames. You may recognize the Flames from their undefeated regular season, winning the Conference USA title last year before getting absolutely smoked by Bo Nix in Oregon. The Flames have a 53-22 record since joining the major leagues of college football, including winning 8 or more games in the last 5 straight seasons. Coach Jamie Chadwell runs a spread option offense, and if you like running the football, you will love using the team that finished number 1 in the nation in rush yards per game last year. The Flames are also returning some of their top talent along the offense, including quarterback Caden Salter and running back Quinn Cooley, who combined for over 5,200 yards and 60 total touchdowns. If you want to take the hardest road, Liberty is the team to use. Next, we go to the opposite side of the spectrum with Georgia's Kennesaw State Owls, who are making their debut in the FBS. Unlike Liberty, the experts predict that Kennesaw State will struggle making their transition, picked to finish dead last in Conference USA play and as one of the worst teams in college football. So this will definitely be a rebuild. ESPN did them dirty by not even recording any of their offensive stats from last season, which could be in part due to Coach Brian Bohannon's interesting roster strategy. He did what many of us tended to do in NCAA 14, utilize redshirts generously. He redshirted a crop of sophomores and juniors last year, playing them 4 games each before sitting them in preparation for this season. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. The Owls transitioned from a triple option to pistol offense last year, but are still a run-heavy program. The defense isn't returning much talent, replacing 9 starters including their 2 top tacklers from last year, but they do run a 3-3-5 scheme for those that want a change of pace from the basic 4-3 and 3-4. A lot will be up in the air for Kennesaw State, making them an ideal team to rebuild, and I predict the most popular team to rebuild in the game. The Jacksonville State Gamecocks are also making their college football video game debut. Most of us remember them from their incredible last-second upset of Florida State in 2021. They are led by a coach college football fans should recognize as former West Virginia, Michigan, and Arizona headman Rich Rodriguez, who helped lead the Gamecocks to a 9-win season and a bowl victory in their first year in the FBS. I'm honestly interested to see how Rich Rod's coaching skill tree looks, because it will likely be by far the best out of the new additions. The team lost a lot of talent from last season, but still look to be one of the better teams in Conference USA. If you really want a challenge using Jacksonville State, try making them the premier football program in the state of Alabama. Good luck. As a Texas native, I'm no stranger to Sam Houston State football. The Bearcats were an FCS mainstay, finishing in the top 10 8 times since 2011 and winning a title in 2020. However, their introduction to the FBS ranks was a rough one last season as they managed to squeak out just 3 wins. The offensive line was an issue last year, and, well, a lot of positions were an issue, so get prepared to hit the recruiting trail early and often. The good news is that you're in Texas, so there will be no shortage of talent to choose from. I'm happy to see the rivalry with Texas State that dates back to 1915 has finally been resumed, a team that was a crowd favorite to rebuild in NCAA 14. The recruiting hotbed of Texas will be key in this rebuild, and the good news is you will be the least evil orange team in the state. Next, we have the James Madison Dukes. After an 11-2 season, JMU will look very different with all the offseason turnover, including the coaching staff and starting QB. The Dukes also revamped their rushing attack, bringing in transfers from North Carolina and North Texas, but are returning 4 starters along the offensive line, which is a good sign if you're trying to run the football. They're also bringing in 2 FCS Conference Defensive Players of the Year and a starting ACC defensive lineman on that side of the ball. The question is, did they do enough through the transfer portal to reload for another shot at a conference title and potentially a college football playoff berth? Only way to find out is by taking your talents to Harrisonburg. A familiar face takes the stage in the Appalachian State Mountaineers. App State got shown a ton of love in the EACFB trailer, and rightfully so. Out of all the new additions to the game, they should be the most well-known among college football fans. We all remember where we were in 07 when they blocked that field goal to upset Michigan in Ann Arbor. And for those of you who were just a twinkle in your dad's eye at that point, you may remember their more recent upset of Texas A&M. The Mountaineers have been the picture of consistency since joining the FBS in 2014, averaging 9.5 wins per season and making it to 8 bowl games over that stretch. They return a quarterback in Joey Aguilar who has his name in the school record books and an impressive 8 starters on defense. While this is another program that certainly isn't lacking talent, they have a habit of testing themselves against name brand programs, including an early trip to Clemson next year. This is another potentially easier program to rebuild, but one I anticipate being a fan favorite. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers are another new addition to CFB 25. If you want to stand out but blue isn't your color, look no further than Coastal Carolina and their signature teal field. Star quarterback Grayson McCall hit the transfer portal, so you will likely have a QB battle on your hands from the jump, which is something we might need to get used to when choosing smaller schools. Top talent may get poached. The good news is that whoever the new starting quarterback is should have time in the pocket, since 3 of 5 starters returned on an offensive line that allowed just 1.3 sacks per game last year. Unfortunately, the top 3 tacklers from last season are gone, so it will be your job to fill in some serious production gaps on both sides of the ball. At least you get to do it on a pretty sweet field. We're staying in the Carolinas with the Charlotte 49ers. The one rule you have to follow when choosing the 49ers as your dynasty school: don't change the coach's name, because it doesn't get better than Biff Poggi. This is another challenging program to take over, a team that finished last season 3-9 with one of the worst offenses in the nation. To put it in perspective, they only outscored Iowa by 2.1 points per game. There was a lot of roster turnover, which may end up being a good thing, and the 49ers did bring Florida quarterback Max Brown and generally large human Jordan Herman a 6'8", 375-pound tackle. It will be up to you to try to revamp this offense and maybe entice some players to come play ball in Charlotte, North Carolina. Finally, the last team making their debut in the game is Georgia Southern. Quarterback will be a question mark for the Eagles coming into 2024, which is never a good sign. However, they do return a talented running back and wide receiver along the offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball was a struggle last season, giving up over 30 points per game. The good news is you will be able to take advantage of Clay Helton's coaching tree that is one of the deeper ones at the newer schools. Georgia Southern went 6-7 last year and are on a 5-game losing streak. So if you do choose the Eagles, it will be your job to break that week 1 against Boise State. Whether you want a challenging mid-major rebuild or to quickly transition a successful team to a Power 4 conference, you have a lot of new options to choose from in EA College Football 25. Let me know which new program you are excited to use in the comments, or if you prefer building a school from scratch, check out this video on Team Builder. And as always, have a great day and see you at the next one.